My family invited me out for a birthday dinner only to leave me standing there without a seat. My golden child sister just laughed and said, "This is for the family who actually shows up." Then the very next day, they had the nerve to hit me with a $1,950 Venmo request. That was the final straw. I cut them off. "Hey everyone, this one's gonna be a long ride, but I promise it's worth sticking around for. I made this throwaway account because my sister managed to find my main, and I seriously don't need that mess bleeding into my real life right now. Anyway, here's a little context. I'm a 29-year-old guy, and in my family, I've always been the forgotten one. Not invisible exactly, but honestly, it felt that way with how my parents treated me compared to my sister, Jenna. She's 25. Growing up, it was always Jenna this, Jenna that, while I was just kind of there. I remember back in high school, I won first place in this big statewide coding competition. I mean, I actually beat out a bunch of kids from those elite, tech-heavy private schools. Came home with this massive trophy, proud as hell. My parents looked up and said, "Oh, that's nice, sweetie. Did you hear Jenna made the volleyball team? And not varsity, by the way, junior varsity volleyball." Then they took her out for ice cream to celebrate while I stayed home reheating old pizza. Stuff like that happened all the time. But let me back it up a little more so you get the full picture. My parents weren't always like this. When I was little, before Jenna came into the world, I was 8 and my dad and I were close. We'd go fishing together, work on his old Mustang in the garage, just regular dad and son bonding stuff. Mom used to read me bedtime stories and even slip little notes into my lunchbox. But then Jenna was born when I was 8 and it was like someone flipped a switch. Everything shifted. She came with some minor health issues, not life-threatening or anything, but she needed a lot of checkups and special care at first. And I get it. That must have scared them. I understood why their attention shifted for a while. What I didn't understand was why it never shifted back. Even when Jenna got better and didn't need the constant care anymore, my parents still acted like she was this delicate flower and I was just the tough kid who'd figure it out on his own. By the time I hit middle school, it was painfully clear I was on my own emotionally. I was the one setting my alarm, packing my lunch, and catching the city bus to soccer practice because Mom and Dad were too busy chauffeuring Jenna to dance rehearsals or whatever else was on her schedule. I learned to handle life solo because I had to. And no, it didn't improve with time. When I worked my butt off to earn a full ride to college, my parents barely blinked. "That's nice," they said, then spent the next hour gushing over Jenna's weekend plans. When I landed my first real job after graduation, silence. But when Jenna scored a summer gig at a smoothie bar, cue the fireworks, they practically crowned her the family genius. And the real kicker? For the last 5 years, I've been covering a huge part of Jenna's college tuition, $1,600 every month. Why? Because I did all right for myself. Got a solid job in tech straight out of school, made some smart moves with investing, and managed to buy a condo in a decent neighborhood. But my parents and good ol' Uncle Marty, Jenna's biggest cheerleader, acted like it was my duty to bankroll her future just because I could. The worst part is I kept doing it. Deep down, I hoped they'd finally treat me like I mattered. Here's how it started. After graduating with a computer science degree, full scholarship, by the way, I worked part-time at the campus IT desk and landed a great role at a promising tech startup right after finishing school. About 8 months in, the company got acquired, and the early hires, including me, got retention bonuses. It wasn't life-changing money, but it was a pretty nice chunk, about $48,000. And like a fool, I mentioned it during Sunday dinner with the family. That same evening, my dad pulled me aside, sat me down, and said, "Your sister needs help with school. You're doing great now, and your mom and I just can't afford to give her the college experience she deserves." What was I supposed to say to that? No? These were the people who raised me, even if they weren't exactly great at making me feel like I belonged. I'd just gotten a big payout and had the money sitting in my account, so I said sure, figuring I'd chip in to get her started on her freshman year. But then my dad came back with, "Actually, we were hoping you could cover her monthly tuition payments." When I asked how much, he said about $1,600. I nearly spat out my drink. That was more than my mortgage. But then came the guilt trip. Jenna wasn't as lucky as I was. Apparently, all the scholarships I earned through years of hard work were just luck. So I gave in, thinking maybe, just maybe, it would finally get me a seat at the table, some recognition. And from that moment on, it became an unspoken expectation. Every single month for 5 years, I sent $1,600 straight to Jenna's university. That adds up to more than $69,000. You think anyone ever thanked me? Barely. Did my parents acknowledge what I was giving up? Not once. Jenna? She acted like it was nothing. Kept posting TikToks flaunting shopping hauls and weekend getaways while I was grinding 50+ hours a week just to afford my life and still support hers. I know how this probably sounds. Like I'm just bitter my sister gets more love. But this goes deeper than that. This wasn't about sibling rivalry or jealousy. It was about feeling like you only matter when you're writing checks. So fast forward to last weekend, when everything finally snapped. A few days before, my mom called and said they were doing a small get-together for Uncle Marty's birthday on Saturday. She said it would mean the world if I came. Honestly, I should have known better. They don't invite me to anything unless it somehow involves Jenna, or they want me to foot the bill. But like a chump, I thought maybe this time it would be different. Uncle Marty and I used to be tight. Before he went full Team Jenna, he taught me to fish, helped me build my first PC, classic uncle stuff. So I said sure. I even bought him a thoughtful gift, this vintage fishing lure set I found online. It reminded me of the stories he used to tell about the gear he had as a kid. Cost me around $400, but I figured it was worth it. Sentimental, right? Yeah. Turns out I was just playing the fool. The moment I walked into the restaurant, I realized I'd been set up. The place was packed. My parents, uncles, aunts, cousins, all sitting at a massive table decked out with balloons and banners. This wasn't some small family dinner for Uncle Marty. It was yet another party for Jenna. Then I saw the sign, "Happy birthday, Uncle Marty, and congrats, Jenna." I had to bite down on my tongue to stop myself from saying something I couldn't take back. Of course, they had to hijack someone else's birthday and turn it into yet another celebration for Jenna. Because why wouldn't they? I walked in and tried to find somewhere, anywhere, to sit. But here's where it gets worse. Jenna spots me, smirks like she's just won a prize, and goes, "Wow, didn't think you'd actually show up," loud enough for the whole table to hear. My mom gave me this awkward, anxious glance. She started to say something, but before she could finish, Jenna let out one of those fake, irritating laughs and jumped in. "I mean, this is for family who's actually around," she said, waving her hand at the table like a game show host presenting her grand prize. Every single seat was already filled. Plates full, drinks poured, appetizers halfway eaten. Even Uncle Marty, who used to have my back, was staring at her like she'd just landed on the moon. That's when it really hit me. There wasn't a spot for me. They hadn't saved me a chair at a dinner they personally invited me to. I scanned the table again, thinking maybe I missed something. Nope, not a single empty seat. I looked right at my mom and said, "There's nowhere for me to sit." She couldn't even meet my eyes. "We didn't think you'd actually come," she muttered, messing with her napkin like it held the answers. "You're just always so busy." Then Jenna chimed in again, laughing like she was headlining a roast. "Or maybe you just don't care enough to show up." Which is funny, considering they never even tell me about these things until it's too late to matter. Classic. Finally, my dad seemed to notice the awkwardness and said, "We can ask the server to bring another chair." But in this tired, reluctant tone, like it was such a hassle, like I was crashing a private event, not showing up to a dinner I was asked to attend. I looked around the table. All these people, my supposed family, and not one of them looked the least bit bothered that I didn't have a seat. Nobody offered theirs. Nobody scooted over to make space. They all just looked at me like I was the issue. Then I found out the real reason for the dinner. It was only halfway about Uncle Marty's birthday. The other half, a surprise celebration for Jenna's summer internship. An internship literally any college junior with a decent GPA could have applied for. But to them, she might as well have cured a terminal disease. And there I was, standing in the middle of all this, after paying tens of thousands toward her college costs, without so much as a thank you. I lingered for a second, still unsure if they were seriously just going to leave me standing. Then, trying to keep my cool, I looked at Jenna and asked, "You couldn't save me even one seat?" She rolled her eyes, like I was ruining her entire night just by existing. "You never come to family things," she said. Then, raising her voice a little so everyone could hear, she added, "Besides, it's not like he's ever happy for me anyway. Remember when I made the dean's list last semester? He didn't even comment on my post. It's probably just jealousy now that I'm actually doing well. I could feel my face burning. The dean's list? The one where I paid out of pocket for private tutoring because she said she was overwhelmed? That dean's list? And now she was acting like I'd never been there for her. Uncle Marty leaned in, gave her shoulder a proud little pat, and said, "Don't mind him, sweetheart. Some people just can't handle it when they're not the center of attention." Then he nudged me like it was all a harmless joke. Jenna laughed again, soaking in the attention like it was sunshine. She looked back at me, smiling all smug, and added, "Oh, by the way, if you could pay the tuition a little faster next month, that'd be great. They sent me a late notice and it was, like, super embarrassing. If you're gonna cover it, could you at least get it right?" I clenched my jaw. I'd never missed a single payment. Not once in 5 full years. And now she was calling me out like I'd fumbled her Starbucks order. Everyone at the table was looking at me. Some snickering, some awkwardly looking away. My mom just sat there poking at her food, and my dad was suddenly fascinated by the drink menu. Jenna, knowing she'd scored a hit, turned back to her plate and grinned like she'd just claimed another victory. I wanted to lose it. I wanted to slam my wallet on the table and tell them exactly what I thought. But instead, I just nodded and said okay. Then I turned around and walked out. Didn't even glance back. Uncle Marty's gift? It stayed in my car. No one called after me. No one followed. It was like I disappeared and nobody cared. That night, I made a decision right there in the parking lot. I was done. No more money for Jenna. Not another cent. That's it. I halfway expected at least one person to text me to ask what happened. But nope. Radio silence. It was like I never even showed up. Later that night, I checked social media. Jenna had already posted a carousel of photos from the dinner with captions like "Best night with my real family, 2 hearts." In one picture, they were all crammed together at that same table. The table that clearly wasn't meant to include me. I ordered a pizza, cracked open a soda, and started watching Fallout on Amazon. Because honestly, the post-apocalyptic wasteland made way more sense than my own family. Sitting there, half eating, half scrolling through my phone, I came across an old photo. My college graduation. There I was in my cap and gown, completely alone. No family beside me. Why? Because they had other plans. Jenna had some volleyball tournament that weekend, so Mom and Dad skipped it. Uncle Marty had promised to come but bailed last minute with a lame work excuse. I ended up celebrating with my roommates. Looking back, that should have told me everything I needed to know. Then the next day, around 5 p.m., my phone buzzed. I glanced at it and nearly choked on my coffee. A Venmo request. From my mom. $1,950. The note read, "Uncle Marty's birthday dinner plus Jenna's celebration." No text. No apology. No, "Hey, sorry about last night." Just a straight-up request like I was the server who forgot to bring the check. That was the moment it really clicked for me, not as some shocking betrayal, but as brutal confirmation. That's what I was to them. Not a son. Not a brother. Not a guest. Just a walking ATM with a familiar face. I sat there, staring at the screen, not even mad at first. Just hollow. Like, wow. They couldn't be bothered to make space for me at the table, but they made damn sure to send me the bill. And honestly, who needs enemies when your own family treats you like their financial sponsor? But the longer I sat with it, the more the emptiness turned to something else, something sharper. This wasn't just about money. This was about being respected. About being seen. About not being treated like a backup power source for everyone else's lives. Always available, always expected to give, but never allowed to feel. That's how it's always been. But for the first time in years, maybe ever, I didn't feel guilty. I felt in control. That $1,950 Venmo request? It wasn't just another bill. It was the final nail. And I was done playing the quiet, obedient son who just took it to keep everyone else comfortable. Not this time. 10 minutes after I saw it, my phone rang. It was my mom. "Hey," I answered, keeping my tone flat. "Did you see my Venmo request?" she asked, skipping over any kind of greeting like it was just business. "Yeah," I said. "I saw it. So when are you going to pay it?" The restaurant already charged my card. I actually laughed, couldn't help it. "I'm not." There was a pause. "What do you mean you're not?" "I mean I'm not paying for a dinner where I wasn't even welcome." "Don't be ridiculous," she snapped. "Of course you were welcome. We invited you, didn't we?" "There wasn't even a chair for me, Mom." "Well, we weren't sure you'd show up. You're always so busy lately." I took a deep breath to steady myself. "And yet you still expected me to foot the bill? You've always helped out with family expenses," she said like it was common sense. "You're doing really well for yourself. And this was a special celebration for Jenna and Uncle Marty. Right? I said, my voice thick with sarcasm. Another once-in-a-lifetime event for Jenna. How rare. Don't be petty, she said sharply. It's not attractive. You know what else isn't attractive? I said. Treating your own son like a walking ATM while not even bothering to save him a place at the table. She let out a heavy sigh. We're family. Families support each other. You know Jenna doesn't have the advantages you do. Yeah? And whose fault is that? I've been covering $1,600 of her tuition every month for 5 years now. Has anyone even once said thank you? That's different, she said quickly. That's her education. Exactly. And this was just another excuse to put her on a pedestal. Let Uncle Marty cover it. He's practically her #1 fan anyway. There was a pause. Then I heard her say, your father wants to talk to you. Shuffling sounds, and then Dad came on. Son, this attitude doesn't sound like you. Maybe it should've, I said. Maybe if I'd stood up for myself earlier, you guys wouldn't have kept walking all over me. No one's walking over you, he said, sounding offended. We're just asking you to contribute to a family event. Contribute, I said. You mean pay the entire $1,950 for a celebration I wasn't even welcome at? He ignored that part. Your sister just got an amazing opportunity. And Uncle Marty's always been so supportive. Yeah, I noticed, I said bitterly. Funny how he showed up for all her school plays but somehow had to miss my college graduation. That's not fair, Dad argued. He had a work commitment, right? Just like you guys forgot to save me a chair. Forgot or just didn't bother. He sighed. Look, we know you've been generous helping with Jenna's tuition. And we do appreciate it. Do you? I cut in. Because it sure doesn't feel like appreciation. It feels like expectation. Like it's just my job to fund your golden child while you all throw parties I'm not really a part of. That's not true. Really? I snapped. Then why have I paid over 95 grand for her education and still get treated like a stranger at my own family's table? Silence. That's what I thought, I said. So here's what's going to happen. I'm not paying for that dinner. And I'm done paying Jenna's tuition, too. You can't do that, my mom shouted in the background. I laughed, shaking my head. Watch me. You want Jenna to finish college? Great. Ask Uncle Marty, he pulls 7 figures at his law firm. Or maybe you and Dad can figure it out for once instead of putting it all on me. You're being ridiculous and disrespectful, Dad said. But his voice cracked a little. There was panic under it. No, I said calmly. What's ridiculous is expecting me to bankroll a family that doesn't even respect me enough to pull up a chair. I took a breath. So here it is. Either you figure out how to pay for Jenna, or get Uncle Marty to. Either way, I'm out. My wallet is closed. For good. His tone dropped. Son, think carefully about what you're doing. This isn't just about one dinner. You're right, I said. It's about years of being treated like I don't exist unless you need a payment. That's not true, he tried. But the words already sounded hollow. Oh, really? Then tell me the last time you celebrated something I accomplished. When I got promoted last year, did anyone suggest a dinner? When I bought my condo, did anyone offer to help me move? Hell, when's the last time you called just to check in without needing something? More silence. I paid Jenna's tuition because I thought that's what family did. But you know what else family does? They respect each other. They make room, literally and figuratively. Mom snatched the phone back. So what? You're just going to abandon your sister? Let her drop out of college? Yeah, I said, the words shocking even me. Yeah, I am. And I'm done setting myself on fire just to keep the rest of you warm. Her education is your responsibility, she yelled. No, I said quietly. It's not. I helped because I wanted to, and you all took that kindness and ran with it. We never asked you to, Mom argued, shifting into full gaslight mode. I blinked. Are you serious right now? Dad sat me down the night I got my bonus and said, and I quote, your sister needs help with college and you're doing so well now. What was I supposed to do? That was a suggestion, not an order, she insisted. I laughed again. Sure, just like this Venmo request is a friendly little suggestion, right? You've been guilting me into paying for Jenna for years, I said. And I'm done. That ends today. You'll regret this, she said, her voice suddenly cold. Don't come crawling to us when you need something. I paused. When have I ever come crawling to you? I've handled my own business since I was 18. You made sure of that. Then I hung up. The next 2 days, my phone exploded. Texts, calls, nonstop notifications from everyone in the family. My parents, Jenna, Uncle Marty, even cousins I barely know, all suddenly concerned about my attitude and how I was ruining Jenna's future. Jenna sent this long, dramatic text claiming I was destroying her life, calling me selfish, and get this, saying she always looked up to me. That was new. Uncle Marty left a voicemail, all disappointed dad energy, telling me he expected better from me. Dad texted saying we needed to talk like men and work this out. And my mom? She just kept sending Venmo requests. Each one had a guilt trip built into the description, stuff like, Jenna's future depends on this and real family helps out. Not a single one of them, none, mentioned what really happened. That they invited me to a dinner and didn't even bother to make space for me. They only remember I exist when they need something. That's the truth of it. Otherwise, I'm just some outsider who happens to share their last name. And for years, they've gotten away with it, taking advantage of me without even pretending to hide it. But then I made the mistake of checking Facebook, and that's when I absolutely lost it. There it was. My mom had written this long, dramatic post like she was auditioning for some Lifetime movie. As a mother, your heart sometimes breaks when your children make choices you can't understand, she began. She painted me as the cold, heartless son who turned his back on his struggling sister. She said I'd always been blessed with success while Jenna had needed more support, and that I'd suddenly pulled financial help over what she called a minor misunderstanding at a family dinner. She claimed they were devastated, that they just couldn't believe I would choose to punish Jenna now that she was finally finding her way. She even had the nerve to ask people to keep our family in your prayers as we try to find a way to keep Jenna in school. The comments? Brutal. Strangers and family friends piling on, I was selfish, cruel, a failure as a brother. Some said money had clearly gone to my head. Jenna jumped in, of course. She posted, never thought my own brother would try to ruin my future just because his feelings got hurt. I guess success really changes people. Uncle Marty didn't miss his chance to virtue signal either. Some people don't understand what family really means. I always expected more from him. Suddenly, my inbox was flooded. Messages from relatives I hadn't spoken to in years. How could you do this to Jenna? You're breaking your parents' hearts. I thought you were better than this. I sat there, reading those messages, and my heart was pounding in my chest. Not one of them mentioned the years I'd been treated like background noise. Not a single person asked why I was upset. They just saw me as the villain because for once I said no. And that's when I decided to go nuclear. I opened my banking app and started pulling records, screenshot after screenshot of the $1,600 monthly payments I'd been making to Jenna's university for 5 solid years. I dug through my texts and found the exact messages where my parents suggested I help with her college costs. I found the one where I shared my promotion and their only response was, that's nice. Jenna needs book money. I kept digging. I found a Christmas photo from a couple years back, everyone holding presents. Everyone but me. I'd asked about it and got, oh, we weren't sure what you'd want. Right? Then I found the forwarded email from when I was promoted to senior developer, the one I sent my parents with great news. In the subject line. Their reply? That's nice. Can you send Jenna some money for textbooks? I even found the invite I'd sent them for my housewarming party. Nobody came. Why? Because Jenna had a cold. Not the flu. Just a sniffle. And then came the kicker. A credit card statement from 2 Christmases ago, over $850 spent on carefully chosen gifts. A nice watch for Dad because he said his broke. A spa day for Mom. Concert tickets for Jenna to see her favorite band. Their gift to me? A $55 Amazon gift card in an envelope that had Uncle Marty and Aunt Teresa crossed out. They literally regifted me something they didn't want. Then I found Jenna's spring break posts from last year, posing with friends in Cancun, cocktails in hand, with captions like, college life is so hard, weary face. That same week, I had wired an extra $4,000 to my parents because they said Jenna was short on essential school fees and might have to drop out. I kept scrolling. Texts from when I had emergency surgery to remove my appendix last year. I was in the hospital for 3 days. My parents sent one text, hope you're feeling better. No visit, even though they live 50 minutes away. Their excuse? Jenna has midterms and she's really stressed. I was recovering from surgery. Alone. The deeper I looked, the clearer it all became. This wasn't just my imagination. This was a pattern. A one-sided, lopsided relationship spelled out in years of messages, bank transactions, and social media silence. So I made my post. $1,600 a month for my sister's tuition. For 5 years. That's over $95,000. No thank you. No acknowledgement. Got invited to a family dinner. No seat. No welcome. Just a Venmo request the next day for $1,950. That's not family. That's freeloading with a guest list. I'm not the family wallet anymore. You didn't save me a seat? Then you don't get a cent. I attached the receipts, tuition payments, texts, ignored milestones. Every single time they reached for my money but couldn't be bothered to reach out as family. Then I hit post. It blew up fast. Within hours, the tone completely flipped. People who had been calling me cruel started walking back their words. I had no idea you were paying that much. Why didn't your parents ever say that? Even a few cousins messaged me privately. One of them was Rachel, someone I was always fairly close with growing up. She called me that evening. I had no clue you were paying for Jenna's school, she said. The way your mom talks, I thought she and your dad were picking up extra shifts or something. Nope, I said. Just me working one job and handing over a third of my paycheck every month. And that dinner, she said. My mom was there. She told me it was weird. Like they genuinely didn't expect you to show up. Yeah, I replied. I was only invited so I could cover the check, apparently. I'm sorry, Rachel said, and I could tell she meant it. That was really shitty of them. And as small as that moment was, it hit me hard. It was the first real apology I'd gotten from anyone in my family. Rachel didn't owe it to me, but it meant something all the same. Of course, Jenna tried to spin it. He's twisting everything to make himself look good, she posted. He's always been jealous of me and now he's trying to ruin my life. So I posted another screenshot. My bank statement with the $1,600 monthly payment. Her university's name right there on the line item. Facts don't care about your feelings, sis. Uncle Marty went full boomer and posted a rant about airing family drama online and how real men handle things privately. He got ratioed into oblivion. I couldn't resist replying. Real men also show up to their nephew's college graduation instead of bailing with a weak excuse. But what would I know? After that? Silence. Total radio silence from my parents. No call. No message. Nothing. For days after I made that post, after I finally let the truth out, I did what I should have done years ago. No drama. No shouting matches. No drawn-out goodbyes. I opened my laptop, logged into Jenna's university tuition portal, and stared at the screen for a moment. 5 years of payments. Thousands of dollars. Countless sacrifices. Then I clicked Cancel Autopay. I deleted my bank info. Cleared out my financial details. A little window popped up asking, "Are you sure you want to remove this account?" Yeah. I was damn sure. I hit confirm. The screen refreshed. Payment method, none. Financial sponsor, none. My name? Gone from the billing page like it had never existed. I leaned back in my chair, sipping my coffee and soaking in the quiet. I thought maybe I'd feel guilty, like some kind of traitor to my own blood. But nope. I felt free. Calm. Damn near victorious. This had been a long time coming. Of course, I knew Jenna wouldn't just let things go. Not her style. A few hours later, my phone lit up like a Christmas tree. 5 missed calls. A flood of texts. What the hell? Did you actually stop the payments? They're saying I'll be dropped from all my classes if it's not paid by tomorrow. This isn't funny. Call me. The irony? The same person who didn't expect me to bother showing up to a dinner seemed real confident I'd keep showing up to pay her bills. I didn't answer. I didn't even open the rest of the texts. She didn't deserve a response, not anymore. I'd already said what I needed to in that post. Let Uncle Marty, the cheer captain of the Jenna parade, step in now. And like clockwork, she took the bait. I could practically hear the panic through the screen. Jenna realized the gravy train had derailed and now her favorite conductor had jumped ship. I knew it hit her hard because the next message she sent was pure comedy. Uncle Marty isn't answering his phone or texts. Can you please just fix this one last time? Oh, how fast the golden girl had fallen. Her beloved Uncle Marty, who never missed her recitals but conveniently skipped my graduation, had vanished at the first whiff of responsibility. Predictable. And honestly, kind of satisfying. Didn't take long for my parents to follow up either. My phone rang again, Mom this time. She left a voicemail full of rage, demanding to know what kind of game I thought I was playing. Something about Jenna's future hanging in the balance. No apology. No accountability. Just more of that same entitled noise. I played it once. Chuckled. Deleted it. Then Dad chimed in with a guilt-laced text. Son, this is serious. Jenna could lose her spot at college. Family doesn't abandon family. I didn't sugarcoat my reply. I texted back, you taught me what abandonment looks like. Then I blocked his number. No second thoughts. In the days that followed, the fallout began. Jenna started scrambling, trying to save face while clearly falling apart. Mutual friends sent me screenshots of her Instagram stories, vague posts about fake family and learning who you can really trust. Privately, though, she was begging. Asking cousins, old friends, anyone who might have $1 to spare. One of my cousins even messaged me, half laughing. Yo, Jenna just asked me for a small loan. Like $1,600 small. Thought you'd want to know. I sent back a single emoji, face with ears of joy. Karma's got a hell of a sense of humor. Eventually, Uncle Marty reappeared just long enough to send me a single, passive-aggressive text. Hope you're proud of the drama you've caused. Didn't even blink. I replied, you ghosted Jenna faster than you skipped my graduation. Proud of you. Then blocked him too. It felt good. Better than I expected. About a week later, my doorbell rang. It was Aunt Teresa. She's always been the one sane relative, the only one who seemed to see things for what they were. We sat down over coffee and she finally opened up about something she'd kept to herself for years. You remember Thanksgiving when you won that science fair? She asked. Sort of, I said, leaning back. I think I was 12? You were glowing, she said. Couldn't wait to show off your medal. But every time you tried, your mom cut you off to brag about Jenna's dance recital. I nodded slowly. That sounded about right. I called her out afterward, Teresa said, shaking her head. Told her she was hurting you. She said you were strong. Said you didn't need praise like Jenna did. Because Jenna was special and needed encouragement. We didn't talk for months after that. Hearing it didn't even hurt anymore. If anything, it was just confirmation. The truth I'd always suspected was real. I hadn't imagined it. In the weeks that followed, things finally started to settle. Jenna, from what I heard, had to scale back. Rumor had it she dropped to part-time classes and picked up a job at a campus coffee shop. My parents? They kept their melodrama alive online, cryptic Facebook posts about the pains of parenting, conveniently skipping the part where they treated their son like a disposable credit card. As for me, I didn't look back. That $1,600 a month? I used it on myself for once. Booked a solo trip to Japan, something I'd always wanted to do. I started mentoring local high school students, teaching them coding. Real students who listened, who appreciated it, who valued my time. My therapist told me she was proud of the boundaries I'd drawn. And yeah, it felt good to hear. But honestly, I didn't need validation anymore. Last weekend, I hosted a backyard barbecue at my place. Nothing extravagant, just burgers, cold drinks, good people, and better conversation. At one point, someone asked, do you ever regret cutting them off? I took a slow sip of my drink, smiled, and said, only regret I have is not doing it sooner. Later that night, I got a DM from Sabrina, Jenna's old best friend. She wrote, Jenna's still running her mouth about you. Telling everyone you're heartless and controlling. But honestly, I never bought it. And after seeing your post, I know she's just spoiled. I'm glad you stood up for yourself. I smiled, read the message again, then deleted it without replying. Didn't need to say a word. I leaned back in my chair, exhaled, and just listened to the silence. It was golden. Peaceful. Solid. So maybe in their version of the story, I'm the villain now. That's fine. Because in mine, I'm the guy who finally stopped funding disrespect. And damn, it feels good.